still want another deputy?
Yes, sir.
What's this about?
A lot of the stuff I've been going through,
Okay, new stuff or old stuff or?
all of it, it's all tied together.
Okay, what do you want from us? I don't need to know everything, because if it's gonna be a whole bunch of, you need to investigate the sheriff and this and that, then we can't help you. If it's something new, that's somebody that's bothering you, we can do something,
There is a lot of that I need to report.
okay?
So, both. I need to make sure that this stuff is documented so that I can defend myself in court. I also need you guys to learn a bit about autism, and
Absolutely.
that's really important. The autism advocate people that your officer Fisher, I believe it was, got me in touch with, they train law enforcement, and they last week were unable to help me the way that they wanted to because of that, and also because of illness. But I'd like for you guys to set up and meet with them and learn a bit about autism as well.
Okay.
But I have some issues with some people that have been threatening me. I also have some other issues with people who are harassing me by phone, a lot of them. So,
Is this in retaliation to others that have been harassed?
it's a lot of, this all has to do with the Natalie thing, every bit of it. All of the stuff that I'm dealing with in town, all of the stuff that I've had to deal with elsewhere, it all has to do with the situation with Natalie.
Okay. You had said something about court. Are you getting sued, or are you going back to court, or are you trying to clear your name? What's that?
Well, I do need to clear my name in order to...
You have been. Your name is cleared, Sean.
But it hasn't been. There's a lot more to it than just her dying. There's a lot of stuff that people have been threatening and harassing me over, and that's not it. I've literally...
That's bullshit. I agree with you. They shouldn't do that, but you do realize that they can have their opinion. There's nothing I can do to change their mind.
It's not just their opinion, it's also the harassment and the threats and the fact that an honest court date will help to show the truth, and that will change a lot of minds.
Okay,
The fact is that I've been walked over in court date after court date, and because I don't have the ability to defend myself, I need someone to actually document the stuff that's been going on.
Okay, but you realize, and I'm trying to help you, and if I say something that you don't understand or don't agree with, make sure you say something. But you do realize we can't just go to the judge and ask for a court date because you want to say something. Does that make sense? Help me if I'm going down the wrong path.
It's not just me saying something. I got a lot to show as well.
Right, but the point is, with the Natalie thing, you're cleared of it. They brought you in, they questioned you, and they have the guy who did it.
That's right, but the other thing is that the stuff that happened as a result of that, the stuff that her family has done and gotten away with, things that law enforcement in Colorado and Nebraska have done and gotten away with, that all is stuff that I am harmed over, and I am...
And that's why I'm asking. I need to hear.
It's still ongoing.
Right, and you do know we have no jurisdiction in Colorado whatsoever.
I am aware of that, but you do have jurisdiction here, and the things that have been happening in this town do need to be documented. As far as the situation where I spoke with Officer Hahn on several occasions, and it was just me and him, and the situation with Jordan Anderson before Natalie's death, where I had spoken to him on multiple occasions, and it was just me and him, and then the situations with Cody Selhorst, where it was just me and him, it very much made it where I need somebody to come in with me, because otherwise I don't have a witness if the officers don't do the right thing. What Officer Cody Selhorst did,
See, I really don't think that you had any contact with us prior to Natalie's situation.
I did. Matter of fact, your officers, Officer Jordan Anderson took me to Scotts Bluff on January 8th of 2017, or not Scotts Bluff, but to Sydney on a suicide watch.
Correct.
And I spoke with him at least twice more that year about an ongoing situation with people threatening me over Natalie, including her ex-boyfriend Tim.
When was the date that she expired? When did she pass?
She was killed on December 28th of 2017.
So wouldn't that have been before? Because I don't think Jordan Anderson was here in 17.
Well, you might want to look it up. It was him and two state patrol officers. One of the state patrol officers was a lady. It was in January 2017 that this happened.
Okay.
Also, it would have been in March as well. I spoke with him. There was also another incident in June or July. The thing is, Tim Beeson was threatening my life. The thing is, they were doing two things at once. They were going to the law, and the law was listening to them, and they were threatening and harassing me. So they needed to pick one or the other, and they didn't. They were doing both. Their friends and family were involved, and the thing is, there's been a lot of people who are mad, and I understand why they're mad. I really do. I mean, they didn't want their personal business out there. But at the same time, I mean, I'm not just trying to defend myself. There's a lot of people that need to be defended. There's a lot of people whose lives are at risk and lives are at stake. And if I was able to get the police to listen to me in 2017, there are at least a dozen people who would still be alive today. Two of the officers that I dealt with in Colorado killed a man just a couple of months after I was refused the right to make a report against them. In Clearview down there, I was refused the right to make a report against them, and I was, just a few months later, they killed a man doing the very same things that I said that they were doing. It's the issues with the term mentally ill, whether people use the term or not. It's the treatment of someone in that fashion that makes it impossible to get anything done. When I have to go in by myself, I get blown off. I get, in some cases, tortured by law enforcement, like what happened in Arapahoe County and what happened in Scotts Bluff. And that's not acceptable. The fact is that I cannot defend myself. I cannot take care of myself. And people keep telling me to do things that I don't have the resources or mental ability to do any longer. The Bollinger family, they threatened and harassed me, and they had their friends threaten and harass me. They manipulated the situation, and whether I was in Colorado or Nebraska or Virginia, it didn't matter where I was. They continued their BS, and I was very vocal about it and made it very public. And the reason for that is because these things should not be happening to anyone. Nobody should have to go through this. I still have people call me a murderer. There's
Well, like I said, there's only so much we can do. Like,
I know.
but I just,
But as
Sean's
far
gonna take your report. He's gonna talk to you.
Deputy Holloway.
But I'm telling you in front of him and him also, there's only so much we can do. And if we go outside the box, I can't do anything in Colorado. He can't do anything with investigating me. He can't do with anything investigating Jordan Anderson, Cody Selhorst. We can't wrap up. I want you to be able to be heard.
Yes,
But
sir.
we just need to make sure you know our parameters, because if you sit for 3 hours and tell us stuff about Colorado, I can't do anything. I mean, it's you know what, and if I'm saying something you don't understand, Sean, please
I will.
say, because I don't want to upset you, I don't want to step on your toes, but there's only just so much we can do.
A lot of the things that you're saying are actually really helpful, because law enforcement has done a lot of the things for the Bollingers and their cronies that you're saying that you can't do, which is very helpful and very important. because, I mean, I understand that the rules and laws here in Nebraska are different than they are in Colorado. But the fact is that a lot of it is the same. A lot of the things that happened to me there and happened to me here, I was and still am in a desperate situation. I mean, there's little stuff that a lot of those officers did understand and fully took advantage of. But the situations that I need to speak about today are situations that have happened here in Chapel, and those things needed to be documented when they happened. The situations with the other officers that I was reports to, I understand you can't investigate yourselves, but the things that I needed them to investigate at the time still need to be investigated. A lot of the things that have happened to me since still need to be investigated. A lot of the people who threaten me, I don't want them harmed, but I do need it to be documented because it is all stuff that happened over the Natalie situation, and I am trying to get a federal case going because this can save lives. It can also help to change laws so that things that happen to me and Natalie and many other people, it doesn't happen or can be prevented. I mean, Natalie's death was entirely preventable. And
Do you think so?
Yes.
Did you know the guy who did it?
No.
I mean, the reason why I say that way, Sean, is there are some people out there that it's just a mere coincidence. They're going to harm somebody that day, and their paths cross, and that's how it turns out. So some of it is preventable to an extent, but at the same time, if this guy's walking down the street who says, "Hey, I'm going to kill somebody," and the first person walks by is her, then I mean, so some of it is, but I don't want you to burden this saying, "Oh,
there
we
were
could have prevented this."
text messages between her and him. She asked him to kill her, and then she left her phone at the house and took her gun. She traded her gun, well, her boyfriend's gun, in exchange for him shooting her in the head. He took her purse and her gun as.
See that I don't know anything about. If you want to go in the interview room, or if you want to do it here and just sit and talk to him and take his information and find out what we can do for him. But like I said, we want to help you, but there's only so much. And as long as you know that, I think we're good.
Yes, sir.
But if you wanna,
Yeah, we can go in here and
do it back there so it's not in the hallway.
I'll get some chairs over here and grab my desk. You want to see here?
Yes, sir.
You want to seat there?
All right, thank you.
It said Sean Schwartz harassing Alyssa Rainwater.
Oh, yeah, that was.
Old news?
Yeah, old news.
I brought 2 computers so that I can show stuff, although it's on YouTube.
Okay.
I made sure of that last night. Before I go to talk to the cops now, I always document it on the internet just in case I have to deal with the kind of officers I've dealt with before.
Nope, no, that's not a problem. Okay, Sean. Pens. All that. I'm going to have you do a voluntary statement after we talk. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Like it's your words on a paper and all that. Okay? So we'll
Yes,
do that after we go through. So what's going on?
Well, I'd like to start off by saying, sorry, I'll wait for that to stop ringing. When there's extraneous noise, it prevents me from concentrating. If there's any questions, you'll have to ask me one at a time, and it might take me up to a minute to be able to answer it.
Okay.
That's an autistic trait, and I do apologize for that.
No, don't apologize. I understand. Okay.
Also, there's a lot of stuff where you might want to ask questions, and the answer to your question might be a yes, but in the time frame that I'm talking about, if it hasn't happened yet, I will probably say no, because even though it did happen, it didn't happen at that point in time.
Okay.
So it's not that I'm trying to lie or say that an incident didn't happen, it just didn't happen at that point in time, and that's important to note.
Okay. And if that happens, I'll try to clarify or ask more clarifying questions for you. Okay.
Yes, sir. Also, if there's more than one person talking, I won't understand either one of you.
Okay.
So that's why the one-on-one thing is pretty important.
Yep.
I brought Laura here today just so that I have a witness
Okay.
and for moral support. I'm really overwhelmed, and I'm sorry for that. I get really stressed out, especially after 3 years of this. I I have meltdowns more frequently and more often. If there's music going on or anything like that in the background, then I can't function.
Okay.
Where I'm staying at now, the dude is totally cool. He doesn't yell at me. He doesn't scream at me. He's not, he doesn't treat me badly at all. He's totally good. But he has to have noise, and for somebody who has sensory overload issues, somebody who's autistic, or somebody with PTSD, people who have been in war zones, things of that nature, victims of sexual assault and sexual abuse, especially long term, physical abuse long term, we all tend to have the same traits as far as that goes. So where I'm at, he plays video games and he has his headphones on when he's talking to other online players. So it's pretty loud, and because he's got his headphones on, he doesn't realize how loud he is.
Okay.
That prevents me from being able to function or even write a statement, which I'm sorry about.
No. Do you want me to shut the door for you?
Sure.
Yeah. It's a little bit less noise in here, and so door's just shut. It's not locked.
Okay.
So if you want to leave, just pull it open. Good to go.
I do apologize, I have to set my alarm.
You're all right.
Okay, Sean. So what can I help you with today?
There were a lot of situations over the last 3 years that I've been blown off about, and also, I've been scared to come in here and talk to you guys because of the conduct of several officers.
Okay.
That's not what I'm gonna bring up, though. A lot of the situations that I'm dealing with, including with Alyssa Rainwater and her mother, those are things that they had safety concerns with the same people that I have safety concerns with, that being the Bollinger family and the public harassment and threats and abuse. They didn't want their stuff being public, and I made it public anyway because there are more lives at stake than just theirs and just mine.
Okay.
A lot of the harassment that I've been dealing with here in town is over that situation, but I need to have the stuff that I've been dealing with in town documented.
Yeah. So who's been harassing you?
Well, the situations I feel have been resolved,
Okay.
but they do still need to be documented, most of them. One of them, there's a situation where, and this all started prior to Natalie's death as well, a situation with Jamie Curtis, where she was playing her boyfriend and playing a bunch of other people, and it just turned into a big mess. In that situation, I've had people in town that have slandered my name, which has resulted in people driving by and threatening me. I can't tell you most of the people who have driven by and threatened me or thrown things at me or yelled vulgar stuff out the window, because I don't know everybody in town, but they certainly seem to know me. But Jamie, we had an issue where she was being dishonest, and her son has recently been in contact with me. I have the messages from him on my phone. I did let him know it's probably not a good idea to contact me, and if he does contact me again, I probably won't respond. But if his life is in danger, that I will always respond.
Okay.
I had to deal with a lot of people harassing me, like Cammy Amon, which, I mean, I can forgive her, I understand the situation, but it was still wrong.
Okay.
And Derek Jepson, and him and I have since made amends, but the fact is that that situation was over, that whole situation with Jamie. Also, Mr. Warnick threatened me out in the middle of the street.
Robert Warnick?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure I got first name
And that situation has been resolved. He had felt that his ex, Nikki McIntosh,
okay.
because he's aware of the situation and how I feel about certain types of people, and he felt that he might be targeted by me and that his ex might have wanted me to do him or his children bodily harm,
Okay.
and as a result he threatened me out in the street. By the end of the conversation he did shake my hand, and I do feel that it has been sufficiently resolved. I don't hold any ill will towards him, but his marital issues shouldn't have spilled over onto me, and it only spilled over onto me because of that situation. There's also the whole situation was about me recording recording people to make sure that things that they should have brought forward in court were documented. That is only a small part of it. And a lot of this has taken place in multiple states, so I'm basically just trying to give you the who's who in town. The situation with Jamie's son getting a hold of me, he also let me know apparently his mother says that there's a protection order with me and him, so I didn't hear anything about it until he let me know. He actually got on my YouTube channel and was messaging me.
Okay. You say protection orders. You're not allowed to contact him or him to contact you?
I don't know,
Okay.
because as soon as he let me know that, I let him know it was probably not a good idea to be contacting me.
Okay.
Because I mean, I haven't seen one. I haven't had
Yeah.
one delivered to me or anything of that nature.
What is Jamie's son's name?
Um,
You can look on your phone if you need to.
I'm gonna write it down because I'm recording this.
Okay.
He is currently living with his dad in Kansas.
Okay.
Jamie actually lives in South Dakota. There's also the situation with Derek. We had an argument over me recording some things with his family that, including Jace Jepson. Jace is actually fine with it. He gave me permission and he's fine with it being out there and being recorded and all that.
Okay.
But Derek was not fully aware of the situation and he jumped to some conclusions, and him and his girlfriend and Cammy Amon were on my Facebook harassing me and being very mean. Since then the situation, at least with Derek, has been resolved,
Okay.
but I needed to make sure that it is documented. There's also the situation with Chris Kurth threatening me outside of my mom's old house on 1st Street. Cody Kurth and one of his friends were threatening me to leave town, and that was in 2018, so I know that it's old, but it needed to be documented, and that's one of the things that I was speaking with Cody Selhorst about. There's also a situation with a woman named Amy Spencer, or Amy Kingery.
Okay.
She, your department's already familiar with her. I know that you're new, but she got busted with methamphetamines a while back, and she's been struggling with sobriety and staying clean. And her children actually got taken away from her because of her meth use, and they got taken away again in Wyoming. But she has been threatening me. She actually threatened me with calling the police. Like, no, that's not going to work out too good because I know too much and I got too much documented. But she, after Natalie was killed, I didn't have any money. All of my money from my disability was being spent going to court date after court date after court date. And they, number one, they said that I could leave my tools there as long as they could use them. So we struck a deal. Also, they wanted to use my tattoo equipment. So the deal that I made was actually with Amy Spencer, not her boyfriend. The deal was that in exchange for letting them use my tattoo equipment, that they would use it to earn enough money to get their own tattoo stuff, and that they would pay me for using my tattoo equipment. And they didn't keep their end of the bargain. They ended up, from what Rand Ingersoll told me, they sold my tattoo equipment for methamphetamines. Rand Ingersoll, she lives in Wyoming, but I could get you her phone number and a few other phone numbers when I'm done with all of this.
Okay.
I ultimately, my goal here is to get all of these people and all of these courts to leave me alone, to understand that it's not okay for them to do these things to me. And many of the things that were done to me I have done back, but only after law enforcement was ineffective and only after all other resources were exhausted. I don't have my disability income any longer, and I need help getting it because of my disabilities, because I shut down so easily now because of all the trauma that I've been through. I literally can't take care of myself.
Okay.
The hospitals are doing the opposite of help. I don't need to be put into a hospital. I need long-term placement. I can't just go into a hospital for 3 days on suicide watch and get dumped back out on the streets. The hospitals, the way that they treat me, the drugs that they put into me, make me a volatile person. They take away my ability to function, take away my ability to think, and make me a very angry person. You can't put those kind of drugs in someone like me, and I've told those hospitals repeatedly, you can't put those drugs in me. But the situation with Amy is that she wasn't just threatening to call the police, she was also threatening life and limb, and that's not acceptable. The fact is that she was accusing me of abusing her daughters, and I never did. I protected her daughters. She has a history of abuse and a history of methamphetamine use, and I'm not going to hide that. I care about her, but I care about her kids more. And as far as being threatened and harassed over that, sorry.
Turn that down for me.
I'll
Yes,
be
sir.
en route to the Dual County, Cheyenne County line to pick up
I want to say that Laura's not affiliated with most of this, so she's not on my side, she's not on their side, she's just basically here as an observer to make me feel safe.
No, that's acceptable. That's fine.
The situation with Amy Spencer, it's been across multiple states as well, here and Wyoming. And I mainly want to deal with the parts here because her threatening life and limb, making false accusations, things of that nature. The thing about that kind of slander is that it gets people harmed, and especially with the reputation that I have, which is completely undeserved, people will jump to conclusions, jump to assumptions, and assume my guilt, and then I get punished without a day in court. I need this documented because I need to know that Amy Spencer is not going to do anything harmful to me, and I would like my tattoo equipment back. It was taken by illegal means. She took advantage of my situation and my mental state at the time to take complete advantage of me and take my things. In addition to putting myself and her children at risk. She's currently living in Scottsbluff, last I heard, so she is close enough that she or her friends could do bodily harm to me, and I'm not okay with bodily harm. I've had enough of that in the last 3 years. I'm fine with them killing me, and I'm fine with them leaving me alone. Anything in between needs to stop.
Yeah.
If she wanted to shoot me in the head today, I'd let her. And that's not saying that I'm trying to commit suicide, because I'm not.
I'm not putting that on towards you.
The situation, as far as that goes, I do need my things back. She sold her house along with my tools. She didn't inform me that she was doing so. I would like those tools back. I'd also like my tattoo equipment back. I do have documentation on both my telephone and my computers here that shows that she has it, took it, and if she sold it for methamphetamines, I mean, obviously I'm not going to get it back, but I would like to be compensated for it, and I'd also like her assurance that she is going to leave me alone, and so are her friends.
Okay.
There's also as far as the child abuse goes, there was no reason for her to be like that towards her children. There was also no reason for her to be harassing me over the situation with her children, because I did keep them safe to the best of my ability. Her kids are very unruly. Currently they're in foster care in Wyoming because of the situation that any idiot could have seen it. I mean, I saw it coming from a mile away. The lady that she dumped them off with is an alcoholic. She's recovering now, but at the time she was going through a 175 of rum every single day. She was not a functional human being, and it hurt me to see her like that. But that's the lady that she dumped her kids off on because she had to take care of some warrants that she had over her meth use, and she slandered my name, and that resulted in more people harassing me, more people threatening me. It needed to stop, and it still does. I blocked her on Facebook last night. I don't want to have any more contact with her. I don't want anything other than just my things back.
Okay.
Then there's a situation with Brenda Dickinson. Her and her friend Pam are aware of a lot of the threats, harassment, and a lot of the rumors that have been floating around town that I've been harmed over, and I would like them to come forward and make a statement about those. I don't have Pam's number. I have harassed Brenda quite a bit. She needed to come forward, and now that I've got a police officer to speak with, I'm not interested in harassing her any longer.
As far as making them come forward, there's not a whole lot.
I know.
And we can contact them, but do you want to make a statement? If they say no, we can't force them to. Obviously, we can reach out and contact them and ask, but we can't force them to make a statement.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There was, who else was there? As far as Mr. Warnick goes, the situation that he spoke with me about, although I personally believe that it's resolved between him and I, since it did spill over into my life and resulted in him feeling that him and his family might be at risk or might be threatened, he specifically stated that he had heard some things around town.
Okay.
I would like for the things that he heard around town to be written down and documented.
Okay.
And if at all possible, by who? Basically the same thing as Brenda.
Okay. Yeah, again, we can reach out and hopefully he does the right thing and makes a statement, but I can't put a gun to his head and he will make a statement, so I'll try my
Right.
best, okay?
Yes, sir.
That's all I can promise you.
Well, his ex is Rihanna's sister. Her name is Nikki, and she's actually a social worker. I've always had a lot of respect for the issues that we've had recently, or over the Natalie situation. That basically poured out onto every aspect of my life. The situations that I've been in from one side of this country to another have all been over the Natalie situation. Not just her death, but the slander before her death, and the gang stalking by her family afterwards. I've been in contact with the FBI. As soon as I say that I was assaulted by police, almost half the time they hang up on me immediately.
Okay.
When I say that I'm homeless, that almost always gets me hung up on immediately. Basically, I've been victimized from one end of the country to the other, and I've gone to all of these jurisdictions to attempt to make statements about the things that have happened in each jurisdiction, and the thing is, I literally need somebody to go in with me to get police to treat me in the way that you're treating me, especially after being assaulted by Waylon Lolatai. That's on my arrest record that I assaulted him, and the fact is the charges were dropped, and because it's on my arrest record, police officers, when they run my name, they generally become very hostile. And I do have over 30 interactions with police that I have documented, and police are hostile in over half of them.
Okay.
So as far as my safety is concerned, I have to be here in Chapel. I can't go elsewhere. I can't deal with police officers who aren't familiar with me. And at least in this town, there are some people who are willing to go in with me. I'm hoping Molly Smith will go in with me as well, because I got a lot more stuff that I need to touch base with. As far as
I'm still listening. I'm trying to find some information for you, okay?
Yes, sir. As far as my monetary situation goes, a lot of the people who were predatory towards me, I didn't have the money to go to the court dates that I had, let alone file charges against them and go to more court dates, although I did try, and I was denied that right in multiple states and multiple counties. I have to be able to show what's been going on, and with the FBI not listening, and I looked it up, gang stalking is the jurisdiction of the FBI. The FBI are telling me that it's not their job. They have refused to look at any evidence. I have issues with sending things over the internet. I mean, it's I'm not good with it. The only reason I have Facebook is because somebody else helped me set it up. The only reason I have an email is because somebody else helped me set it up. The only reason that I have Facebook or YouTube is because people helped me set them up.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I even need help putting video games on my computers. I wasn't able to do that by myself. Except with the Steam thing, that automatically downloads stuff just by clicking on it, which is really nice. It helps because they have a log of the games that I have.
I enjoy Steam.
Yes, sir. I use video games to stim. That's stimulation, but stimming is something that autistic people do when they're not necessarily stressed out or overwhelmed, but usually when they're stressed out or overwhelmed or sometimes even excited. Hand flapping, things like that. I used to do this a lot, but it hurts my back to shake my hands like that now, so I have to hold it in. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what I'm gonna have you do is I would like the Amy Spencer stuff. I want that up front. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
that's right away on the first couple pages. And then, because that's gonna be the important one, especially getting your stuff back. As far as everyone else, once you get all the Amy stuff, just leave like a space and just do like bullet points so we can get those documented. Okay, so that'll be
Yes, sir.
voluntary. I have 3 pages. The first one, and then 2 extension forms. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I can get more for you. That's not a problem. But you want to go ahead and start doing that. I found. Are you able to drive? To at least North Platte? Do you have a driver's license, or can you get a ride? Okay. As far as the FBI, there is an office in North Platte. Okay, I can get you the address and phone number. Have you got in contact with the Nebraska Attorney General's office?
I have. They actually sent me to the Nebraska FBI. But a lot of these places, they tell me that I have to do this stuff over the internet, and I've attempted on multiple occasions. Some of the websites, they give you a time limit, and I've never been able to make the time limit because I have to go through a lot of stuff and organize it, and then I get started, and then I have to go through the paperwork to make sure that everything's correct, and then they log me out. Some of them, because there were a lot of police involved, they don't have a way to make a comment about that on their websites. You actually have to go in person, and when I've gone in person, it has not ended up well.
Okay.
A lot of them also have, you only have a certain amount of characters that you can type. And I mean, I've got, on this computer here, I've got probably 2 novels worth of what I've gone through written. There's no way that I'm going to be able to copy and paste that to there.
500 characters is not enough for that.
Exactly. So the thing is that it's not that I don't want to, it's that I'm not capable. I've been trying.
Okay.
Without a quiet environment, I literally can't function. Living in other people's living environments, it puts a lot of stress on them, and it puts a lot of stress on me, and neither one of us deserve to be stressed out like that.
See, I can get you the address. So North Platte actually serves Dual County. That's their FBI satellite office, so you don't have to go all the way to Omaha.
Okay.
I can also get you the phone number and as much information as I can. It's just a small little.
Well, on my YouTube channel, I've got over 100 conversations with FBI. I've called them a lot. They tell me that it's not their job to investigate the gang stalking, but on their website it says that it is their job.
So that might be something you need to go in.
Yes,
just
sir.
like cops, they don't want to do work. Okay, the least amount of work. So over the phone, it might be one of those things. Well, we're not going to take this serious. But going in, especially if you're there with them, advocate for them, and that might be one of those things to try.
Yeah, the autism advocates that I've been in contact with, I can try to get a hold of them too and see if they might be able to go in with me. they're not real familiar with the situation, and they're more towards helping me to get my housing and all of that. But yeah, like what you just said, I've literally been saying that for years, and people are like, "Oh no, dude, that's not how it is. That's not how it is." I'm like, "No, that actually is how it is," and you just
Yeah, no, not saying anyone here is that way. We try to do our best,
Human nature.
but yeah,
Yeah.
it's human nature not to want to do anything. So I'm not saying that's what they're intentionally doing, but that might be subconsciously. Okay.
yes, sir.
Definitely with the autism, the advocate. Sorry, I was lost on the word. They might be able to, especially if they go with you, be like, no, he needs a quiet room, one-on-one with an agent, so you can explain things out to them. Okay. I definitely want to do the Amy Spencer stuff.
Yes, sir.
Because I'll see what I can do with that. With it being so long ago, I don't know if I can track down obviously tools or the tattoo equipment. I'll give you my card. So if you just want to email me the screenshots of the conversations and all that documentation, okay?
Yes, sir. Actually, I have the screenshots already, but I had to erase a bunch of it. Otherwise, I can't use my phone for recording at all.
Okay.
It's full of evidence of a lot of threats and harassment that I've been dealing with. It's also got a lot of the mean stuff that I've been typing because I believe in full disclosure.
Yeah.
If I'm an asshole, I'm going to admit it. So just write down the situation with
Yep.
Amy.
Write down the situation with Amy. Let's get that one obviously up front and out the open, and then we'll go through and get the other stuff documented.
All right, what's today's date?
It is the 9th of March, so 3/9/2020.
All right. I do want to say that as far as Chris Kurth goes, I don't feel that there's going to be any more issue with that. I have seen him on multiple occasions since, and he has not spoken with me. He hasn't been rude. He hasn't been inconsiderate. He basically hasn't acknowledged my existence, which
Okay.
I'm fine with. Also, as far as Robert Warnick goes, I have spoken to him at least twice since that incident, and he has not shown any aggression or hatred towards me. Also, as far as Derek Jepson goes, he has not. He threatened me once, but he hasn't done so since. He has spoken to me like a human being. He spoke with me the other night at Pump and Pantry, and I also spoke with him last night at his grandfather's garage, and his issues with me have been resolved.
Okay.
It's just this whole situation was very out of hand, and that's the situation with Jamie Curtis.
Okay.
I don't want them put in prison or anything like
No,
that.
and I'm not saying that way. It's just, I know you said you wanted it documented. This is how we're going to get it documented, okay?
Yes, sir.
I'll obviously create a quick report, type some stuff up, and make sure this goes into a case file for you guys, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Or for him, sorry.
Yeah, she's just here for moral support.
I don't have a file.
She's a good girl.
It's always good not to have a file.
Alright, I don't know the address that I live at, and I don't want to write homeless.
It'd be 49 Thompson is the one currently down there.
Okay. That works. I suppose I should turn this off to save battery. Alright, so the officer is going to get a card started for me. He's given me some information for the Nebraska State Patrol Troop E. And he is writing down some other useful information for me right now. So that's a big help. It's more phone numbers. That's no guarantee that those phone numbers will do anything. or the people who answer them will do anything, but it's something. Alright, so he's gotten me some information which is useful. And a whole list of phone numbers, which is nice. There's like 5 or 6 numbers on there, it looks like.
They
Oh,
got
3.
FBI out of North Platte. I got you their address. The Nebraska Attorneys General got their address and then their PO box, along with the phone number. And then the Nebraska State Patrol Troop E, their address and their phone number.
Alright, thank you, sir. I could literally write for days. I love writing on them. I'm pretty good at it. Should I try to just keep this as short and sweet as I can, or should I put in as many details as possible?
As many details as you think would help.
Alright.
Don't need to get into every little detail if you don't think it's important, but try to get the important details in there, okay?
Alright. Well, a lot of the details are in the emails,
Okay.
so I can't remember word for word, but
Yeah.
I'll send that to you.
Yeah, if you just say, hey, details in the email, obviously I'm going to look at all those emails and they're going to get attached to everything, okay?
Yes, sir.
So, is that all you got for Amy at least? Or do you still have more?
I guess I should probably write a little bit more.
Okay. However much you feel you need, okay?
Yes, sir. Is there any way I could get a copy of this when I'm done with it?
Yep, I'll make a copy
Thank you,
for
sir.
you.
A couple of the things that I have are recordings. They're on YouTube, so I'll send you links to those.
Okay.
They're pretty long.
Okay.
And although some of the information is from a woman who's in Wyoming, it's pertinent to this situation.
Okay.
And then on this one, I just write down the other situations and
Yeah.
pertinent details. Or,
Yeah, some of the names and some of the details, the ones that you want documented. We'll
Alright.
also get them on this too, and they'll just kind of be attached in the same file.
Okay. God, what would that have been? If I'm having my life threatened or being harassed by someone and I'm here, I have to go to where they are in order to file a report.
No. So where are these people being threatened out of, or threatening you out of?
Some of them out of here in Nebraska, some of them from Colorado, and some of them from Washington, or some of them from South Dakota. Um, I've got hundreds of them actually, so I'm sure that you guys don't want to go through all of them. But if I'm here and I'm being threatened by people,
Yeah, so you can come here. We'll take the report. Usually, we'll type something up and try to get it to the correct agency where they're out of, and kind of do a in conjunction kind of thing. Help you and then help them with their investigation on what they need.
all right,
Okay.
that's much better than what the police have been telling me prior to this. That they've been telling me they can't do anything because it's the wrong jurisdiction, and that's just it. So I'd like to come in later and do that. You are literally that's a lot different than what I've been being told. I suppose I should just write down the stuff about the three main ones here, I guess.
Yeah, Robert, Derek, and my notes. Cammy Amon, or is it Jamie Curtis?
Jamie Curtis I should probably write down,
Okay.
but I was thinking the Chris Kerr.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, I read the first three, then there's a little note, and then the other two.
That whole situation, that's because in addition to when Natalie was killed, she had claimed that I stalked her, and people twisted that completely into something that it wasn't. It went from, Sean harassed some girl in Virginia to Sean was threatening some girl and her family in Virginia to Sean molested some girl in Virginia to Sean raped some little girl in Virginia, and it very much got out of control. And when it was on the news, what happened to Natalie, the rumors went from just being a situation that was in Boulder and in Virginia to me having people worldwide threatening my life over it. So that's something that a lot of people think that just because the situation with Natalie as far as her death was resolved, there's other things that were not resolved because I didn't have any representation. I didn't have anyone to go in with me, and police everywhere kept telling me there was nothing that they could do about it.
Okay.
So that's the whole situation with all of these people, is that this is a situation that got blown completely out of proportion, and I couldn't get an officer to help. I couldn't get an agency to help. And like you were saying earlier with human nature, that's very much what I've been dealing with, and I've been trying to explain that to people, but I've got a lot of people who hate me, have been attacking my Facebook, have been doing everything that they could to make sure that I couldn't speak, couldn't communicate with my loved ones. And then when I had meltdowns over it, a lot of people get scared and they run away. And the thing is, I try to do everything the right way. And eventually I just took enough abuse that I was literally screaming at the top of my lungs for help. The rumors that these people heard, like Robert Warnick and Chris Kurth and a few of those other people, those rumors are important because I was harmed over those rumors. It's not just slander, it's slander resulting in harm. And I don't feel that Chris Kurth is a bad person. I don't feel that Robert Warnick is a bad person. I mean, other than those situations, I've never had an issue with either one of them. And other than that situation with Derek, I'd never had an issue with him. With Derek, it's different. He's angry at me because I recorded some of his family members, and I completely understand. I don't hold a grudge against him for that. I didn't want to be threatened.
Yeah. No, I get it. And so that's all this is we're just gonna get these documented.
All right.
So you know they're documented.
Yes, sir.